Good evening, folks, and welcome back to ESA Season 10. We have got a banger of a match on our hands yet again tonight. We've got Ghost Army versus Nexus. My name's Travi, and I'm joined here by the wonderful Puffo Bob, who I believe has something very fun to show you all.
Starting to smell quite nice in this room because, well, today it's a special day. Not only for whoever may be going to Malta this week, but at the same time it's ESA. Like we're here, Travi, it's the best, the peak duo, but we've got ourselves a fortune cookie. And, well, to reveal its secrets, we gotta get the drum roll rolling. As it simply states, today will be a Bose Max OT. So honestly, I mean, I think we're in for a ride here, Travi, but who do we have to watch?
Well, we have got Ghost Army and Nexus to watch now. If we just put up the bracket quickly, let's take a quick look at how we've gotten here so far, how the competition's been up to this point. Because, of course, we're starting to get our feet wet. We're starting to get into things. Now, of course, the first round of bracket is all said, done, and dusted. We have our 8 winners and we have our 8 losers. Last night, if you were here, we had an absolute brawl between Team Sync and Molotov Gang, which ended up going all the way to 3 maps. And in what I'd argue was a bit of an upset. Team Sync were able to overcome Molotov Gang 2-1 victory. And they find themselves in the 2-0 bracket, MVG in the 1-1 bracket. And we're now here for our second game of round 2, Ghost Army versus Nexus. If you're not familiar with the name Nexus, they have just recently changed. It was MG Akatsuki up until recently. So if you're not familiar with the name, that may be why they're on Nexus. And, well, Buffo, what are your expectations for this one?
Ooh, I am actually kind of leaning in towards Ghost Army because there's a specific reason. Ghost Army are here to reclaim their crown. In Season 8 of ESA, they were claimed as the victors, and, well, I think they're back in it. They're looking for another run. Nexus is going to be their opponent, and, well, I believe we also have some predictions to look at, which will be quite interesting because, honestly, I do not remember who I voted for. Hopefully it was Ghost Army. We can take a look below. It is not close. It is 71-29, and as much as I really want to lean in towards the fact that numbers normally don't matter and statistics don't either, this could go any way, right? But Ghost Army here is clearly the favorite.
Yeah, really clearly the favourite here. I mean, I want to play devil's advocate a little bit here. Last night and many previous nights have been here on ESA as well. Upsets happen quite regularly over here in ESA.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that's going to happen. I mean, sure, social vote, production vote says that this is very much going to be a Ghost Army-sided game. However, if you ask me, I've casted Nexus before. They've got some really quality players on that team. They're able to do some really great siege, and I reckon they're going to put up a very, very good fight here, and it's going to be entertaining in this match. Well, speaking of the match ahead, let's take a look at which maps we're going to be heading to, of course, because for there to be a battle, there's got to be some battlegrounds. And the map veto for this one, well, it's going to be quite spicy here. We're going to be kicking things off on Clubhouse, which, if you ask me, nowadays, it's sort of taking that Oregon roller, the bread and butter map of Siege. It's the one everyone likes best. Of course, it's going to be Nexus's pick. They're going to be starting on the attack. Then we're going to move over towards Cafe Dostoevsky. And how are you feeling about that one, Bob?
Oh, it's quite a large map. Personal enjoyer of it. Some teams don't like it. Well, clearly Ghost Army here do, and it is a large man. This is a huge map, has a lot to offer. Window play is going to be incorporated, especially on that top floor. And, well, Ghost Army are going to be starting out on attack. Hopefully Repel's coming in quite quick. And for the final one, if we do get to it, of course it's always down to the ifs and buts, is going to be our beautiful, beloved Nighthaven, which I don't think anyone actually hates.
No one hates Nighthaven Labs. Everyone loves Nighthaven Labs.
Oh, yeah.
I've never met a single person in my life who has said Nighthaven Labs is a bad map. It's the best one, obviously.
Yeah.
Labs is a banger of a map. I think it's probably going to be a great place to round off this series if we do obviously get there. And then obviously I'm looking as well towards these teams' recent history, obviously going since back to about October. I've got statistics for Nighthaven Labs is a map that both these teams do quite enjoy playing on. Nexus, they're 2-1 on it at the minute, whereas Ghost Army, they're going to be 5-1 on it. So they're really doing well on it, Ghost Army. So I do have a feeling if we do get to that third map, it's very likely that Ghost Army take the series. However, I want to just rewind just a little bit, go right back to the start of our series and have a talk about Clubhouse. Of course, as sort of mentioned a second ago, it's that very standard map that everyone knows by now. Ghost Army, they're currently up 8-0 on it, and well, Nexus, they're no slouches on it either. They're also 6-1 on Clubhouse. Both these teams love Clubhouse. They're obviously very, very good at doing it, and I've got a feeling this series is going to be going off to a fiery hot start.
Oh, it definitely will. This is going to be some Titans merging over at Clubhouse. Both of them being dominant on this exact same map. And at the same time, this is a map, like you said, everyone knows it. It doesn't necessarily rely on strategy as much as it does just normal teamwork and chemistry, meaning both of these teams are confident in what they're doing. And that's what this is going to be, just a very close match. I'm expecting this to go overtime already. I mean, the fortune cookie normally doesn't lie. Let's hope it doesn't now. And just like we said, a Ghost Army Nexus is going to be something later on, especially in that Cafe. Again, Cafe does tend to switch really quickly. We've seen many times this map go from 0 to 100. Even on ESA here, we've seen 1v3 clutches. We've seen people dying to bandit batteries. Cafe is Chaos Incorporated, and for Nighthaven, I think it's just balanced. It's great. I feel like Nighthaven is going to be the next contender for Borrigan, but it doesn't get boring, right? Not as of yet, and like you said there is not a single human being that hates Nighthaven. If you hate Nighthaven, it's as simple as it gets. You are not a human being.
I suppose that's quite the wild assumption to jump to there. I mean, you look, obviously such a great map, but that is going to be ages away. Of course, with Clubhouse is what's coming next. It's where we're going to be starting things off on this series. Now, I do believe it is going to be Ghost Army there, going to be starting on the defensive side, of course, on their opponent's map pick. And we all know Clubhouse, we all know how it tends to kind of play in that regards to, well, you have your defaults on Clubhouse. There's a very similar way that all these teams go at it. You've got your simple win conditions. You know, you're attacking that basement. You've got to hit the hatches, map control, etc., etc. It's a list of things, and sure, you don't check everything off on that list. The defending team could normally find some way to slip in and make a punish on that. And I'm expecting that's what we're going to be seeing in this matchup here, considering both these teams are so comfortable on Clubhouse. They're good at Clubhouse. This is probably going to be, if you want to learn how to play Clubhouse, maybe get a notepad out and start taking some notes off these games, because I'm expecting really high quality of Siege to kick off this series.
Yes, we are, and well, we're going to be also kicking it off with some operator bans. Not a surprise that Blackbeard will be the first one to be taken out. The beautiful shields, not as beautiful when you're on the receiving end. When they push you into a corner, when you try and fight back against them, there's not much chances that you come out of it as a winner, unless there's 2 or 3 on your team trying to just swipe off this one operator, which uses up utility, time, value, ... Continuing on to the second, though, is going to be the Blitz. Similar tradition, the Monty gets kept, but we want to remove that aggression. Both of these teams, they don't want to be sprinted at. Clubhouse isn't that huge of a map. It has a lot of opportunities for rushes, a lot of opportunities for ground to be taken very easily, and Blackbeard and Blitz, they excel at it. And, well, now, Travi, now we have to see what the defenders are going to be banning off.
That's it, defenders. I mean, shield bans are so common on the attack as of late. It's no surprise that that's what's going to be continuing here. But over on the defensive side, we're going to be getting rid of Mirror. Now, that is, of course, going to be the ban of Nexus. And looking at their recent ban history, Mirror is something they love to ban. It's 32% ban rate for them. One of their most commonly used defensive bans here across all maps. So it's not really a surprise that they're going to want to be taking that one out. And then it's going to be the Vigil coming out from the other side. Now, that one, that's caught me a little bit off guard there from Ghost Army. That one is nowhere near as common from them. It's not one they do too often. 12.5% ban rates. They dabble with it every now and then. But I've got a feeling that signifies they're going to want to, on their attacks there, when we get round to Ghost Army on that side, they're going to want to go hard. They're going to want to go fast. And they're not going to want to have to be waiting for that presence denier to hide you from those. They're not going to want to wait for that ability to cool down. They just want to get in there, get the action rolling.
I think as much as it may be a bit of a wonky pick at times, especially the Vigil, I don't think that Ghost Army are only focusing on the attack and to have it be fast, which is definitely a point. And we can imagine that they're going to be really aggressive and picking up not only the Monty, maybe being a bit more fast on this top roam clear, looking into the future, but also the present. Ghost Army right now, they want to give themselves opportunities, free space to make of this few early rounds that we have in the first half. Again, we already see the Azami, the Malusi, maybe later we're going to be seeing a bit more action from a possible clash. Like operators that have strength, like a Fenrir, for example, but they just want to experiment a bit. They have 2-3 rounds right now to do so, to adapt to Nexus's gameplay and play style, and in the meanwhile, they can see what works and what doesn't, and also then transfer into overtime if they need to. But as of current, Travi, we're kicking it off. It's round number 1, and it's action phase time.
Round number 1, here come the teams, here comes what is the action, and well, we've said it quite a few times, we hope the teams deliver on it. This one should be a banger to kick things off here. Of course, Nexus, they're going to be working on an attack. I want to look at that operator lineup a little bit. One we don't see often on Clubhouse all too often is going to be that 0 pick there coming in from Chapkin. That's a little bit of an interesting one there. It's not one we see all too often. Of course, he was buffed a little while ago now. He has 6 of those Argus cameras. They're so good for intel. They're so good for flank watching. And as well, you can use them to 9 bits of utility. You know, you can use the laser on them. You can zap out goo mines. You can take down mute jammers. You can take down Malusi. Banshees. There's a lot of utility you can get out of those lasers on the Argus cameras. And just having 6 of them, you can see there, quite a few of them already being used, likely being put into these key positions where flanks are likely to originate from. So the minute that Nexus want to make an execute, want to make a push towards the objective, there's going to be someone watching that, making sure that if Ghost Army try anything crazy, try any sort of silly little flanks, they're going to be dead in the water before they can even get started here. Of course, the minute's in not too much action between either team yet. As you can sort of see, Nexus just making a slow, methodical clear of the map. Ghost Army not really wanting to give away too much just as of yet. All 5 members of their team now relegated down towards the base, but giving up most of the map control here for Nexus to try and work with. And now, of course, it comes the next phase of the round is Nexus now going to try and formulate how they want to execute, how they want to be ending this round, and making sure when they do so, it's going to be going in their favor.
That it will. As of current still, though, not a single body dropped. Both of these teams looking comfortable on all 5 players and making verticals be through 1 minute and 20. There's going to be a bunch of time, and I'm loving how Nexus worked very quick on their feet. Also utilizing the fact that there is no possible vigil. Early damage dropped, returned with a kill in factor, and that's going to be the favor pivoting towards the side of Nexus as they open it up with a Legion. Nonetheless, that is huge value, strong gun, and utility all taken out, but we're looking to expand off of hatches alone. We need a bit more entry here because we can't simply go off of stairs, especially blue and main. We need these lines and angles to be covered, but aggression coming out here from Senzo as he's looking to pick up on a bit of revenge later on. Still finding no success, but I believe this is what puts Nexus on their tippy toes, as of course there's going to be the return we were looking for. Huge on the MP5, and now it's 4 against 4.
4 versus 4. 35 seconds, so still a decent amount of time as the attackers here. They're slowly making their way towards the bomb site there. This one is going to be dicey in the last 20 seconds of the round. It's Brawls, however, it's Nexus coming out on top of them. 2 quick picks in quick succession for them. Leave it to Jessica and Atot. All that remains standing. However, a C4 and another quick kill back from Atox. We're now back at 2 versus 2. This round is yet again any man's game. Ishak going to be forced to push towards the site, gets 1 taken down, and a second with it. Ishvert finds 2, and Nexus, they get themselves the round. It was a bit back and forth there, but at the end of the day, they've gotten it over the line. They've gotten themselves quite a good start there on Clubhouse, and that round, well, took a little while to get going, but eventually, when they did get going, they were hitting their shots, they were doing everything they needed to. Sure, they lost a couple of picks backwards, but doesn't matter. They got the round.
Not liking that from Ghost Army there. In the end, they had a 2v1 going for themselves. They had some sort of privilege, and again, they were playing close quarters, but not off of each other. It was more of a 1v1, which is the last thing you want to be doing, especially when you have some sort of lead towards a specific operator. And in the end, well, we saw it. 1 kill, there comes it, another one, and just like that, you shut down that 5.52 commando, and you're in a 2v1 yourself, Ghost Army, but you can play off of it. You're in an uncomfortable position, and well, in positioning, when it comes down to Siege, it matters quite a lot. Now, bringing out the Fenrir, as I mentioned earlier, we do want to test a bit more. We're going to be going and giving the bottom floor a second chance, while also in the meanwhile, hopefully trying to pivot towards a bit more ground control on this top floor. We're not seeing any SSG roam, no castle, no nothing like it. Vigil is out, nor Soul is to be in play. So as of current, I'm still looking towards this a bit more focused on the shell type of strategy gameplay, where you really stick down to side extended to blue maybe at times, but in the meanwhile, not really go on that upper floor. Maybe a bit of presence just to push Nexus back. But besides that, well, it sticks down to simple basics, and you play these bombs.
I think Ghost Army in the previous round, it would have done a lot better for them going in towards that end stage of the round, that execute point. If they'd have had maybe perhaps burnt maybe 15, 20 more seconds off the clock of Nexus, it would have done really, really well for them going into the end of that round. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And of course, we now find ourselves, Ghost Army, as we said yet again. And it seems like a very, very similar strategy to both sides. The only difference being that Fem rear pick coming in place of the Legion. So we'll have to see how it's going to be changing up on that round. Of course, I've got a feeling this one's going to be exactly the way we saw it before, where you're just going to Nexus get control, and then they're going to work on the hatches. And likely they're probably going to want to up the pace a little bit, and probably also try and secure themselves maybe a second pick before they make that execute. And pivotally as well, it's not letting those quick flurries of kills go against you. We saw both in that previous round. Both teams, 2 kills one way, 2 kills the other. Very, very quickly. You don't want to let that kind of thing happen. Ideally, you want to go 1 for 1. You want to get a man advantage and go 1 for 1 for 1 for 1. But course, we're going to have to wait and see how these teams want to adapt to that play here. As you can see, yet again, really similar to the previous round, Ghost Army, they're just not really bothered about contesting this first floor in the slightest. All 5 players down in the basement, just sort of waiting for the incoming onslaught from the attack here. Playing it quite passively at the minute at least, letting Nexus sort of have free reign over the map, sort of free control, and I think that's given them a lot of command and a lot of dominance over how at least these initial rounds are going. If there's your C4 come out, almost take down the IQ, not quite enough to deliver the final blow, but a good start. Good start for Ghost Army. Good bit of damage to kick things off, but I've got a feeling if Ghost Army want to be walking out of this, they're going to need to be going into this final stage of round with a pick on their side.
Got a feeling that tonight's going to be a good night here, especially for Nexus, even though they have not lost out on the IQ, a similar position they were stuck in earlier. One player low on HP, I believe it was the exact same position too, but in the meanwhile, then they got the first opening kill, then they just chained it down, a lot of exchange, and right now, Ghost Army may be the ones to take it out. Shotgun up close, really utilizing the gun and where its strength lies, but as of current, we need some sort of push here, attackers. We have gotten this execute, or at least the prep for it, but now we need to start clearing utility. This is the strength of Ghost Army's real defense. Like I said, it's a shell, impenetrable. And unless you start really bunkering it down, nicely ticking away at it, there's going to be no armor to crack. And as of current, last 25, we hear smokes going out. Utility just going to be dumped from both sides. And Nexus right now are at a disadvantage as they're dropping into their own graves. Any second, one ping, there's the Fenrir coming out. A bit of a swing, finds one, looking for the second, but Adox just manages to get away. Swings for a second, doesn't strike like lightning, not the best. Yoshiro for one. It's a change left, right, and center. They're dying, dropping bodies with a second in the meanwhile. 3-2, one down, you're left down alone. You can't plant, there's no time. And like it, the defenders take it. Ghost Army in their own pocket with one of their own. And well, that was a bit better than previously.
Certainly so. Much better played there from Ghost Army than we saw before. Sure, as I said, they sort of let it slow down a little bit. They didn't really contest the map too much. And sure, sometimes that could be a worry side. It was definitely the strategy there from Ghost Army. You let them have that bit of control. And as you see there, you let them hop in down the moto. You get one. But then there's immediately that Warden contesting the hatch yet again, coming up to support. And sure, it doesn't quite go the way of Ghost Army. But all of the chaos towards the hatch and the rest of the push towards on the other side, it really doesn't go so quickly, and it doesn't go too well. And there you have it, Ghost Army, they take the round. It's 1-for-1, and in this series, as you say, it's going to be a spicy one, a bit of a brawl the entire way through.
Absolutely. Well, this is the first time we're going to be seeing this top floor, and of course, with it comes a new brand of operators. I'm loving the information gather. We're bringing back the Legion just to spread it out a bit more map-wise. You know, you cover main stairs, you cover Logi, you cover everything you need, and in the meanwhile, also some help on Garage, where the Azami is going to be laying with possible Valkyrie cameras above. And this is where I absolutely love Ghost Army's composition. While they may be sticking to site quite heavily on the down floor, where normally you expect people to roam, on the top floor, we can already see some extensions being planned towards this construction site, really spreading it out on this top with Garage as well. And honestly, I just don't know how Nexus are going to be completely denied.
That's it. We got to see some real aggression here from Nexus. I feel this is where the change in pace is going to have to come in for them. They're going to need to be really looking to get that opening pick, as you say. The spread hold from Ghost Army a little bit further, wider out over the map. That's going to be really, really pivotal for slowing down and wasting the time of the attack. However, Nexus, they're sparing nothing. They're already sending players up through Garage in towards Rafters. But it's a double C4! Opens the round right up for Ghost Army. Nexus, they've got to find a way back into this one.
Oh no, that's bad. It's an ace and gridlock as well. Oh, chaos struck. We get this exothermic, yeah, that's great. But then you have to push up Jacuzzi, you have to have 3 players against 5, and if that's not a disadvantage, you haven't made much of an entry into the building. Earlier we saw Travi, right? They made quick entries, they made them onto the top floor, they cleared out everything so nicely. This time Ghost Army aren't allowing it, although one player taking off the Valkyrie, switching on to her own cams. That's an operator that definitely made utilization, although that C4 has struck, and well, this is going to be a thorn in the side of Ghost Army if they cannot keep up these players.
That's it. It's going to be a difficult one, really, for the side of Nexus to really crawl their way back into. As you mentioned, the ace and the grid lockdown. Sure, you have the Thermite and the Thatcher, and the Striker as well. Lots of secondary utility there. But you've lost 2 really key operators, and most importantly, you've lost a lot of that essential flank watch. You know that as well, taking drones into the grave with you. Nexus, they're probably going to be struggling for intel here, and Ghost Army, if they can just adapt, sort of play these bratty play style, they may be able to get away with something, but it might not be needed. There's another one, the Legion strikes down our Striker. Now it's just 4 versus 2 difficult. one really now for Nexus to try and bring this all the way back through. The Thermite and the Thatcher, the classic tried and tested combo. Do they have a way back into this round?
I don't think so. I think they're going to be left in the dark just a bit more. It's quite unrelenting Ghost Army's play. I mean, it's been absolutely denying. We saw the C4, that was already a huge starter, but then they didn't lose it, right? They lose one player, that's enough. Yoshi already puts another one down, and it's a 4v2, which is way worse. As again, now you're ticking down the clock. 40 seconds, and you're trying to make your way into construction. Not even construction, it's going to be CC side. You need to clear cash, you need to clear all utility, which is Ghost Army's entire build. How are you going to do this in such a low amount of time? Also allowing possible 1v1s because they're not sticking really close together. Now going off of windows, trying to secure Logi footholds. But Ghost Army, we've seen them play. They do not get greedy, at least most of the time. Previous round, they didn't. They've been learning from their mistakes. They peek out. Well, that's just a bit of that sinful play. But who can we blame? It's Senzo who's coming out. One tap from the side of Rogara, but in the end, matters not. Ghost Army take it for the second in a row.
Yeah, Ghost Army really coming alive there on that defense. Really great showing from them. And something that caught my eye towards the end of that round here, probably see it in just a second here, was the drone economy over on the side of Nexus. Take a look at the top right of your screen, folks. You can see the round's closed now. They've got one drone left. That's all they've got. The mute is still up on the board. And no doubt a lot of those mute jammers are still active. So Nexus, not only are they pushing this really difficult position with a lot of space to clear, not a lot of time, they're doing it completely in the blind, and that attack, it just unfortunately wasn't going to work for them. I mean, you do have to give it credit to that C4 from the get-go. That attack felt like it was dead in the water before it really even got started here. But as we head over towards round number 4 now, it's going to be Casually CT giving it a go. Ghost Army, of course, successful side rotation. They're going to have to keep moving about. But if it goes anyway, the previous round did Nexus. They've got a tall order ahead of them.
They do. And one of the things that Clubhouse is quite notorious for here is going to be this main bridge, right? We already see the Mew, we see the Cade, we see the Tubarao. 3 of these operators could have been possibly banned as well, but in the end, the Vigil was the pick, and this is what allows Ghost Army to just go out so far wide in every single site. Besides Bar. We don't talk about Bar. That's just something to leave in the void. As of current, though, Nexus, hopefully you're not going to be losing 2 players to a C4. At the same time, I'm loving the Maverick pick, which is going to be completely denying the Tubarao and everything that Ghost Army's buffer has to offer. So as of current, we're seasoning it up. But we need some sort of regame because Ghost Army, although while they are on the defense, which is most of the time a lot more comfortable to play with, you feel at home when you are playing on that defense, and you'd really want to capture this 3-3-4 to 2 if nothing else. The Nexus can definitely still get 4-2 for themselves if they just play their cards correctly.
That's it. Do you talk about the cards, you know, and if you view it like a game of chess, it's the different pieces you've got. That Maverick piece right there, it effectively nullifies the Mute, the Tubarao, the Cade. All of those picks can be nullified by that single operator. It's crucial to keep him alive. He'll take a little bit of damage, just slightly through trying to breach open the wall, so he's obviously doing his job correctly. And being able to use that utility and use such good effect, it's going to give Nexus a lot of options to use the remaining utility they've brought in pocket elsewhere. You know, you've got the Ace with the hard breach, you've got Ragora on the Grim with the EMPs as well, and all of that utility. If you can get the main wall open with the Maverick, you're not going to be needing it for the main wall. You can apply it elsewhere, and it's just open. It's all about opening up as many routes as possible here for Nexus to stay looking towards the end of this round.
Pushing construction is going to be a pivotal point. They really want to focus on it. It's quite capital as well. I mean, we just get this huge line of sight. We also focus the Ace on the single wall. Again, it completely denies cash side. Then where do we have the side of Ghost Army to move? Well, maybe Red, maybe Garage. Main Breach is going to be opened by the Maverick, and this is where the strength of Main Breach really comes into Clubhouse, specifically the CC cash site. As much as you can Tubarao it all and delay it as much as you want, the fast and speed movement from Nexus Esports is going to be shut down for one player. That's your Nomad. Air jabs may be placed, but there's no gun to utilize. Now, the buck from below here, again, it's just a Nile of ground. It's cut off on the rotation that the entirety of the attack are going for and trying to aim. And while though they may be hitting their shots, so are Ghost Army right now. And that's the return coming in for one, for a second as well, and Nexus now in the lead.
That is a really great coordinated push there from Nexus. Use the Grim utility to force the player out of position right into the sidelines of the buck to get 2 for your troubles. But Atox does not want the round to be over just yet. Takes down Chapkin, and now we're back to 3 versus 3. Things are looking a lot closer here in round 4 as we move to the dying seconds of it. That key pick there from the Maverick all the way outside, that's going to be essential. Gives Nexus the opportunity to have the space to be able to get in towards the site here. They're now in cash. If they can take down this castle, if they can take down Atox, they may have been able to get the plant down, but now they're not going to be able to. Now this is a big issue here. Your Maverick is still outside the building, but does get the shots needed, and now it's all on Atox to keep the round going. Nexus, you need to get the players in. You need to get someone available to cover the plant here. See Trixie thinking about it, throws Selma charge, but Atos does not want to give this one up. Position's going to be known. It's going to be really tough to work his way out this 1 versus 2, but you can't be giving him the 1 versus 1s. Dribble for Adox. He has an idea where the other one is, but it's not good for it. Nexus, they get the round. 2-2 now on the scoreline. It's really heating up here.
That was the picture painted in all sorts of ways. We had this going every direction it could have, right? We had the position of who was on the top, constantly switching from goes back to Nexus, back to goes, back to back, and we have not had a bit of clearance. Because while though the Maverick, no one really seemed to learn from the mistake that there are Maverick calls. If you're going to be jumping that window, yes, the Ace can take you out, but you also have to watch out for your feet, which are being shot at. There's multiple people on site. The person from Garage is getting pinched, and at that moment, you just want to stall time, maybe jump down Raptors, go bottom red, and help out the castle. Maybe even go main if you have the time and you're comfortable in it. But communicate with your team and work off of the fact that you cannot leave your teammate in a 1v2 position. Although, we can give credit, Adox absolutely destroyed from red side. He was playing off of one stair, one sideline, a rotation and head holes, and he took out player after player. 2-3 kills is what he acquired, and he did it with grace. But in the end, he couldn't be the saving grace there, right? He just could not be the hero. And again, teams necessarily shouldn't rely on hero plays.
That's it. You can't rely on just one man to keep the job going, because as great as Alex can be as an individual, you can't be relying on that consistently to happen. You can't be relying on round in, round out for someone to save you. You need it to be the unit. You need to be, as a team, better than the other one to be able to take a game, because individuals can win you rounds, but only teams can win you matches and maps here in Siege. It's crucial you're playing together and everyone is lifting their weight. But you know what, you're looking at the scoreboard at the bottom of your screen right now. Everyone is really firing up on this game. There's only a couple of negative players in the lobby. Everyone's actually doing a fairly good job, getting involved where they need to, getting kills on the board. And it's something I like to see in these matches. It means that it's just going to be exciting. I mean, so far it's proved so. 2-2 on the scoreline. Really, really close. And of course, we head towards round number 5 now. We look towards it. It's going to be basement yet again. And I've got a feeling it's going to play out somewhat similarly to how we saw it in round 2. Operator line, indicative of that. But here comes a bit of an early engagement here. Ghost Army trying to make a bit of presence on the first floor. It's not going to be successful. And, well, Santucci's just going to retreat back towards the basement.
Ghost Army now rocking the lineup that worked out best for them on Church round number 2. Giving it a bit of a second chance as well, as they might as well go there. It is the best site, both in opinions and both in facts. And as of current, Nexus are having similar progression as they always do. But what the problem tends to always be is that when you try to go for the execute, you're shut down by the mere overcoming of all this utility of everything just completely piling up on you. The fact that you haven't gotten rid of the Fenrirs, the mutes, the yada yada yada. Everything that Ghost Army has to offer is down below. And as much as you can clear this out as fast as you want to, the issue still stands. You need some sort of entry, and unless you get the element of surprise by going tunnel side or someone sneaking into Oil Pit, it will be quite difficult, and it's going to be a brawl. Carnage, you can call it the Armageddon of Rainbow Six Siege, but both of these teams are absolutely going to be going haywire, and that's where Nexus's Flores comes in. Speak of the devil, looking to clear this utility out. If you can connect that drone, it will be fantastic, but you do have to be wary of those mutes.
There's so much you can steal with these Rotero drones. You know, you look at Ghost Army's lineup, so much of their utilities is all about focusing on the site itself and making the push in towards the site difficult. The execute is going to be the difficulty here next, in both a time element and as well defensive utility. That's where the Flores comes in to try and nullify a lot of that. I've got a feeling from what I've been seeing, a lot of these drones have been caught out, not quite catching all of perhaps the utility that is going to be needed from them. And as well, the clock as well, Nexus, 35 seconds now. Clock's going to be dwindling. They need to really start to get a move on this 5 versus 5. We've seen it a couple of times now. It's an absolute bloodbath when this happens, and it really could go either team's way. But Nexus, do they have cards that are going to play in their favour right now? Or are they going to be walking into their doom as well? It seems like that might be the latter case for just the first pick there as Ghost Army. They get a 5 versus 4. They've got the man advantage, but there goes Rigora. But what's this? A flank from Mishiro. It's not marked, it's not droned out, and now look at that remaining player in blue, and just like that, Ghost Army, they close out the round. Really quick succession of kills there. They're back in this one. They've got the lead yet again in this basement. By the first round, which was a little bit of a hurdle and a bit of a mishap, Ghost Army, they seem to know how to play this basement. They've got it locked down.
Holy! A rendezvous of bodies just going down and down and down! Every single player of Ghost Army was in the correct position at the perfect time, and of course, in perfect coalition. We saw one kill, but not for much longer. As you see on replay, Yoshiro 1, Atox follows, and then it just drops, crumbles like a cookie, and Ghost Army, this is what I mean. Look at how much protection they have. The Izami has almost full free movement because someone's watching the blue side, while in the meanwhile, the Kiba barriers are keeping you safe and sound from the side of bar, the side of whatever you want to call it, and in the end, third round is theirs. Now, what's the catalyst here? Nexus, they need their third, or Ghost is going to be going into the second half with quite some strength.
Yeah, I'm going to stick on a word you said there, and that one was cookie. To make a great cookie, you need your flour, you need your butter, you need your eggs, you need all of that. Nexus, they have all of that. They have a great start to the round. They do decently with the utility, but they forget what, if you ask me, is the important bit. It's the top into that cookie. It's the chocolate chips on the top. It's that execute within the context of Siege. So, for Nexus so far, they've really struggled to get that right. They set themselves up decently. They go into end of round. Sure, they're not in an advantage or a disadvantage really as they approach that execute point. But when push comes to shove at the final dying seconds, that seems to be the hurdles that are troubling them a little bit here. And it's why we find ourselves now with Ghost Army in a 3-2 lead. And they're going to be quite comfortable playing Bedroom Gym. It's been played once already. Ghost Army took it from them. Nexus, they're going to be swapping out operators a little bit, bringing the Lion this time around. How's that going to be affecting things here?
I think it's the movement. Again, Ghost Army have been feeling a bit too free up until then, and Nexus definitely felt that the previous round. As we go into this following, well, let's limit that movement a bit. As much as there are mules that can definitely counter it, again, you're forcing someone to move, and you want to put those traps down. You want to be the one to put down the puzzle pieces, instead of you being puppeteered by the side of Ghost Army, who come out with the opening, as well Atox on the dog, just feeling himself comfortable on the Frenchman, stimming himself up nicely back to full stacked, and nicely, it's like nothing even happened. Nexus, you bring out that line to limit movement, he's already gone.
That's it. He's not going to be able to be used at all as we go into the end stage of this round. Now it's going to be really, really difficult for Nexus to yet again bite their way back in towards this one here. Ghost Army, they've got their opening pick they needed. They can now just play what we know they're good at, which is just sitting on site and waiting for the attackers to come to them. We know Nexus, where they've been playing so far, they've got a minute and a half left on the clock. We know they're likely going to be using all, if not most of it, to try and clear out this objective, to try and set themselves up as best as possible. But I fear it's something that Ghost Army are more than happy to be playing in, going to the last minute 20 at around now. They're happy to wait for this attack to come. They're happy for the onslaught. As you can see here, Yoshiro going up really, really close, extending back over towards Cash. Nexus, they're not really applying the pressure yet, and that's what we need to see in this final distance. Otherwise, the attack is going to be really difficult.
Begin going, searching for these last final 60 seconds. Nexus, you're on the receiving end of an opening. You've been opened up quite spreadly. Now you have 50, you're outside Jacuzzi. Majority of players just trying to focus on this one-dimensional push. Not much of an establishment going towards backside. This is where difficulty starts rising, as of course, we tried to tender it a bit more. The wound is getting healed, you're licking it up nicely, but you're gonna get bitten down yet again if you start losing fights, and Senzo can't lose them. It's a W in his name now. MP7 back on kill feed. Shotgun looking to not only waste time, but be a distraction. C4 doesn't land, you try to peek out, but Ghost Army, they know they're wasting time. He needs to crawl up, because if you don't, Senzo's gonna be taking away heads. Yoshiro back to help him up. They're going hand in hand. The last one tries to peek with a pistol, but is met with a primary, and like they say, you don't bring pistols to primary gunfights, as Ghost Army take it away for one final in the first half.
That was a really difficult one there, I think, as you say. Nexus, they lost that opening pick, and then it was a real struggle to get back into things from there. As you see here, this 1v1 in here in particular, so much time spent on it. Sure, it was successful in the end, but look at the kill feed as it's happening. Your team's unfortunately crumbling around you, and then you're left in a 1 versus 3. The other team, they've given the call to your position. It's a doomed position from that point onwards, unfortunately, there for Nexus. Unable to close that one out. They're now going to be going on to the defense, which I think, as we know, is probably a more favourable objective, a more favourable side for them. They're going to be going back down towards this basement, and to be fair, the line-up the team from Nexus is fairly similar to what we saw on the other side from Ghost Army in the previous half. And they've got to change up here, but how do they do so? How do they respond to this on this defense?
I have to see. I mean, Nexus, we are seeing some similarities, right? Can you see the lineup on Nexus and how Ghost Army was cooking it?
Mirror.
It's basically the same.
It is the same.
I think it's actually just the same, and it's strong, right? You can't necessarily blame them. It is basically the same. But Ghost Army, they have no similarities on what push they're going to be going. No Buck, Ram is nice. But, well, Travi, I'm seeing two operators that really indicate absolute death personified.
Oh, yeah, you are. I mean, you've got the Ying, you've got the Dokkaebi. That's going to be really, really difficult to work away from. And I like this from Ghost Army. They've probably gone on the drones. Hey, guys, they're doing exactly what we're doing. And Ghost Army, if it's their own strategy, they know how to counter it. They know the weaknesses to their own strategy. They've gone, right, Nexus, they're using our strategy as Ghost Army. They were like, right, we're on the defense. The weakness of that strategy was going to be the early round wasn't going to go their way. So, Ghost Army, they're changing up the utility. They're going to be focusing on a lot of end round utility. Of those operators there, 3 of them are focused on applying that really late round pressure. That Ram is going to open up a lot of sight lines, and Nirvana, of course, necessary for the hatches. Ghost Army, they're adapting. Whereas Nexus, I don't know if this is a game of copycat or just a clash of similar strategies, but either way, I've got a feeling looking at operator lineups, Ghost Army look with the more favourable utility in their pockets for this one.
Oh, definitely. I'm scared of the Ying. Maybe the Warden serves as a counter, but then he needs to be in that exact moment in position, and currently in his tunnel. We are not approaching the execution just yet. As of current, though, time is going to pass by quickly. We've seen rounds go as if they were nothing, and Ghost Army are just looking to continue off of this trend, right? They've already won a couple of rounds. They're 4-2. Why not go 5? Why not reach match point to the point where Nexus are feeling this pressure? The burden on their shoulders just crush them down, and, well, see them crumble as Clubhouse is theirs to claim. Just not yet, though. Nexus have been putting up a fight, a good one at that, and they have not lost nor a player, nor much utility, which is, again, where this lineup comes in with strength.
Yeah, that's it. Ghost Army, they're going to be quite comfortable yet again going into this late round in this 5 versus 5 position. As you can see here, Senzu on the Ying. We're starting to edge a little bit closer towards the site. Of course, you can't just go just it. The rest of the team still needs to get into their positions, and Ghost Army, they're working things out. They're getting breaches open, still using those X-Pyro pellets. Obviously, he's got quite a lot of them left in pocket. Still 8 of them to work around with and be able to use and try and get the openings they need. And here comes the first Candela, however, and there you go. The response from the Ward, you can see it. Ability has been activated. They've moved Chapkin towards the front line where the thing is. That is beautiful repositioning there coming in from the side of Nexus. However, what is not so good from them is going to be the defense. Unfortunately, 2 members falling. Ghost Army now with a massive man advantage. Trixie goes down as well. Chapkin does get one back on the Warden, but it's a really difficult clutch position here. Gets one, but it's unfortunately no more. And Ghost Army, they start the new half as they ended the first one with another successful round. And basement continues to be something they're very, very comfortable in on Clubhouse.
Be it on the attack, be it on the defense, Church is where they thrive. Now that was fantastic. Taking 1v1s again, taking even longer range gunfights. I love the Ram recognizing there's a shotgun behind that door, so we take it a bit more further. We try to limit the damage that's caused, and well, then the chain of events just kept on going as each one of the Nexus's players was left standing alone on an island, and well, surrounded by sharks. Hungry sharks. Specifically Ghost Army in this case in point, but keep one thing in mind. We've seen a lot of kind of competition, but at the same time, a bit of repetition at times, which I'm expecting to see going into round number 8. As Ghost Army, even on their defense, they lost the first time on Church. Second time, they backed it up after a bit of adaptation, and Nexus, now it's their time to shine.
That's it, now's their time to shine. And they've got a whole different lineup, very different to what we've seen so far on any of these basement defenses here. We're seeing the Solis, we're seeing the Goyo bro. So obviously some adaptations here being made from Nexus based on the results of the previous round. Right, Solis, try and identify where that utility is coming from. Drones as well, very useful for dealing with that. And the Goyo as well. End of round comes along, you can pop those Vulcan canisters if they're still standing, and then burn a hell of a lot of time there though. Ishvik though, it's going to be up here towards Junkyard, looking for a little bit of a run out here. This one can be very, very deadly, but I do believe I saw them get marked on the drone. So Ghost Army should be aware of the attempt here. And the question is whether Ishvik's going to be sticking through, committing to this one or not. Instead, it seems like Ghost Army, oh, he just runs right into his demise. Ghost Army, they read him like a book and put him to bed. 5 versus 4. Ghost Army with a man advantage going into the remainder of this round.
Oh, that bed. This clubhouse has been that comfy bed and blanket for both of these teams. And Ghost Army, Well, right now they're the only ones waking up from it. Nexus on the other side, you're still sleeping. Stop sleeping on the job. One player's already gone. You've been the opening for 3-4 rounds in a row. As of current, your Goyo's dead. Utility of his is still put down, but that's a gun less, and your Malusi's about to follow if that HP gets ticked off more. Similar situation for Yasuke, but he's always been the one to take very heavy blows and taking challenges. You're getting challenged from both sides. You know he's there. You peek anyways, and that's a second one for Ghost Army as they just put a little one after another. 3v5, we've seen it before with the C4. We've seen the return like it, as well as a beautiful shotgun comes by to take out Addox. And maybe this is finally a wake-up call for Nexus.
That's it. Now, my question is, do Ghost Army have any idea that this Solace is above? Some windy shots on the P90, unable to confirm the kill from it. Unfortunately, firing into a brick wall there. Never mind, they were not going to hit anyway. But here comes a bit of a retake from Nexus. Here comes Chapkin. They have no idea as he finds a double within the round. Level swings back out of 3-3. Swinging out in towards Freezer, hunting for more. And continues to contest this position. Does not want to give this up here. You're effectively screwed if you stay in this spot. But gets double with the shotgun, triple into round. Does he know about the next? No, can't quite find it. It's 2 versus 2 now, 55 seconds. The attack, though, it's split all over the place. But the defense, they have been reduced to 1. All down to Regora now in a 1 versus 2. Blinded out by the Candelas. The attack should have control over the objective. Should be able to work themselves down in towards site here. Get kicked out. They've got the utility. They've got the guns to cover it. Regora, you're going to have the ID, you are the Solace, you should be able to mark it out, but the question is, you can get the intel, sure, but what can you do with it? Kicks down, the clock's now ticking the other way, and I don't know about this retake. Oh, one, it might possibly be the second, he's going to sprint for it, but he's going to be missing the shots, unfortunately, and Ghost Army, they take yet another round. This basement seems to be their comfort zone here on Clubhouse, successful on it now. 4 out of 5 attempts here, whether on the attack or whether on the defense, they're strong and they find themselves up at map point here on Clubhouse.
Now a bit of a sour taste left in Nexus's mouth as they're facing match point. 4 rounds in a row is no laughing matter. And when you're already 3 down going for runouts, might as well put the money where your mouth is. But currently, you've been on a bit of a budget here. Ghost Army have really been taxing you out. Nexus now have to play defense. Hopefully not going downstairs for a 3rd time's the charm, and well, we're about to see as there needs to be some changes. Again, this early aggression time has not worked out. They have definitely gotten the element of a surprise. This Warden double kill was huge, but in the end, you lost out a Warden. A Ying remained against a Solus who was going oil pill just to be blinded. Enough time for the Habana to even make her way downstairs, and in the end, Ghost Army just took it away one after another. Dangerous situations. Nexus just really don't take advantage of whatever they're given.
No, they really don't. I mean, they had a few good little bits and some good opportunities there. They just can't capitalise on it in the end. And, you know, they now find themselves 6-2, 4 rounds in a row without mistake on their own map pick. It's a really tall order. Ghost Army as well. Sure, they're on the, what you probably could argue is the less favourable of the 2 sides, but it matters not for them. They're 2-2 on the attack so far. Really great job on it. And the thing is, the rounds as well, they've been a bit back and forth. You know, it's been difficult for Nexus to find their way into it regardless of, and it's going to be, I've got a feeling, quite an early start here to the bloodshed in this round. As you already see players, they're coming up through rafters. This cash position is about to be under some heat, under some fire. And as Trixie's the one left there to eye it up, try and take out as many defenders as possible. Ankes as well has the construction window open, but Nexus, they know a losing battle when they see it, and they just run away.
Oh, again, drastic changes coming out. Nexus is going to be on their final fight, and each fight is going to be final until they win 4 in a row, and it is not more just than them triumphing. It's going to be a mere single achievement. They may win a battle with it, but that's not the word, because overtime is then still going to remain, and unless Ghost Army absolutely start throwing, I don't think that's going to be happening. Again, it's all down to how Nexus play these cards correctly. And if they have a trump up their own sleeve, maybe we can still see it happen. Although with Breach coming out only now, Ghost Army are making a bit slower progress than usual.
Yeah, it's a bit of a slower start here. Ghost Army, I mean, they're probably just trying to work out ways. It's a very utility-heavy lineup here coming in from Nexus. Everything that they have on the side of the defense is going to be all about keeping this site locked down, whether it's denying breaches, restricting access through windows, or perhaps literally cooking them alive. Nexus, they've got a really strong lineup here, and Ghost Army need to make sure they're doing their due diligence when they're clearing out this map to make sure that the route they're going to be choosing to take in the end of things, they're going to be safe. However, going to be Santu taking a lot of damage here early on, brought down to just a sliver of HP, over on 1 HP. But still alive, still has the DMR, and most importantly, still has that EE1D in pocket, which if it can be used late in the round, can have some absolutely devastating effects. We've all seen it before, but 5 seconds now, it's still 5 versus 5. Are we eyeing up another 20-second execute?
Extra Roteras coming out. Now we're going to be forcing off those castle barricades. Nexus is going to start again feeling this presence from Ghost Army. As now they're going to be moving forward, and moving forward they shall. A lot of damage dropped on again. No kills confirmed, but that's about to change in the following 35. Looking to pop the Weasel. Breaches are out. This is where Nexus need to hold their ground, but they don't. Yoshiro opens it up. We've seen him on the opening so many times. That's one returned, but in the meanwhile, it matters not. It's a 1 for 3. Value is not in your favor. One more remains. The Bandit, no C4. Verticals are denied. You peek out main. Haddox for the final. And Ghost in a dominant 7-2 performance. They take it into map number 1 Clubhouse, and possibly gonna win it off in the next match if they play good on Cafe.
That's it, they've stolen their opponent's map pick from them. I mean, I've got to ask a little bit here, I don't like to be negative, but what did happen a little bit there? Nexus, they started things off really, really well. We were 2 for 2 at the round 4 marker, and this one had all the signs of being a close map, and perhaps that's what we said earlier on. That fortune cookie told us Bo's Max OT coming on, but that really wasn't the case here. As this one progressed, something clicked for Ghost Army, and whenever there was a question raised from Nexus, Ghost Army had the answers. Dominated the end of the match there, 4 rounds in a row, not really, or 5 rounds in a row, sorry, nothing separating them at all, and that was just an absolute washout from Ghost Army by the end of that one. But, of course, the series is not over. This is a best of 3 after all, but it's tall order for Nexus. They're going to be moving on to their opponent's map pick. Cafe Dostoyevsky will be coming your way in just a few. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back on in, folks, to what was a map 1 that I think started off on a great foot and then it went a little bit off tracks from there. But what exactly happened on map 1? Because it started off looking so good for both of these teams, but at the end of it, Ghost Army, something clicked, they just erupted, and then we found ourselves at a 7-2. It was over before it really got started. What happened?
Honestly, we really can't tell. I mean, it's many factors, but at the same time, we went 2-2, a bit of an equalization between the teams. We thought they were going neck for neck, right? A bit of a rivalry, yeah. Like we mentioned, both these teams being good on Clubhouse, finding that comfort, and then having a bit of a clash of titans. But in the end, after that 2-2, it was chaos. Round 5, 6, 7, 8, ... It was absolute catastrophe, as of course, it was an adrenaline surge. Someone kept up the pace, and that was Ghost Army, because they just mowed them down. If it was round after round, and necessarily wasn't the lineup, but it was just that counterplay. I didn't see much adaptation from the side of Nexus as much as I did Ghost Army. Ghost Army, first round, they lost church, right? They saw their lineup was wrong. Okay, let's switch it up, and let's completely counter their lineup. They did that round after round, and Nexus didn't really counter it much. We did see a Lion later on, but that was an opening kill as well, so it kind of balanced out, and Ghost Army just took away with it.
Yeah, and even when they did try a bit of adaptation, perhaps on that very last time we saw the club and basement being played, we saw it through. It didn't work out. It went completely wrong on there. So we're now looking towards our second map, which is going to be Cafe Dostoyevsky. Now for Nexus, it's going to be an uphill battle from here. This one is, of course, their opponent's map pick, Ghost Army. They're the ones that chose to come here. Now looking at the stats here, both of these teams, they're fairly close by on it. It's sort of a mid-preference map for both of these teams, of course, with Ghost Army, they're currently 3-1 on it. Nexus, they're 3-2. So there's not too much separating them. But of course, as we saw in the previous map, both of those teams looked really, really comfortable on Clubhouse, at least on paper. And it didn't exactly transpire into this game. So as expectations go into this one, I'm really, really unsure. But before we can get into the game, we have to get through the operator bans.
The operator bans, you talk about paper, let's get that pen in and have Nexus write their own story for once. The narrative should be pivoting them just for a tiny bit, and let's see what bans they're going to be taken out, and rather what operators will be off the board, as of course, we saw Ying earlier. Not much of a huge placeholder when it came down to the victories of Ghost Army, as they used the character only once, but in the end, I guess it blinded the Solus when she was going down Oil Pit, so if you count that as an attacker to be worthy of banning, yes, sure, on Cafe, that also has huge rooms where the Ying Candelas can have a vast majority of spreadness. Yeah, the Ying definitely has strength, but so does the Blackbeard, as we're probably not going to be seeing him for quite a while now.
No, no one wants to play around this Blackbeard at the minute. He's the boogeyman hiding in the corner. Everyone's scared of him at this point. Like, what's so scary about this man? He looks like he gives great hugs,
He
but no
does.
one wants to play him in Siege, in the game itself. Everyone wants him out of there. A common ban from most of the teams here in ESA. Ghost Army as well, sticking to what they did in the previous map, going to be banning out the Vigil as well. Now, of course, there's a bit of curiosity on that last time, but you know what? It worked for them in map 1, so I'm not at all going to question it here going in towards map 2. It makes sense that that's the ban they're going to be sticking with. And final defensive ban coming on through in a second. Who is it going to be?
Ooh, drums are rolling. Get them. The
Mm,
Valkyrie. I think that's
Valkyrie.
fair. Again, I think the Valkyrie, this is one of the best maps for a Valkyrie for anyone with intel. Even the Echo, the Maestro on top floor, absolutely work off of this site. Again, it's majorly because of how the map is built. It's huge, it has big rooms that connect nicely via corridors, hallways, and of course just in general, such as we can take a look at Pillar. Everything is nice and connected, right? You put a single black eye and you have the majority of basically a half floor covered, which is absolutely insane, especially because black eyes are very hard to spot unless you have a dedicated IQ. You're looking to spot them out in the early drone phase, and need to get that extra information, which again is value time, and well, the side of Nexus don't really want to deal with that. For Ghost Army, I believe the Vigil is now trying to lean in towards the fact that they are good on roam clearing, but they do not want to deal with their drones being taken out, with them having to force too much time, and again, time and assets onto that Vigil alone, as earlier, you spotted out something, Travi. Nexus were losing their drones very quickly. Ghost Army, on the other hand, they were not.
No, and something as well I want to point out about these map bans. Maps I'm reading into it a little bit too much here, but just trust me with this one. Ghost Army, they picked the same map operator bans that they did in map 1. That signals to me they're comfortable with their style, they're comfortable with how they're played. Nexus, on the other hand, they picked one operator, the Ying, of course. That is definitely a response to how much she was or when she was used, the impact that she did have when she was bought on Clubhouse. And that Valkyrie as well. Ghost Army always had an idea what was going on in their defenses, and that was partially when they bought the Valkyrie a little bit, but also just the prevalence that she has on this map, to me, signifies Ghost Army. They're very comfortable where they stand in this matchup. They're feeling confident going in towards map number 2. Nexus, I don't know if quite the same can be said, but of course, you often find when you're backed into a corner, that is when you're at your most dangerous. So wouldn't write them off at all just yet. We know they can put up some incredible performances. As we saw at the start of Clubhouse, we're looking for them to return to that form here. And I've got a feeling Cigar, an early jewel's about to be coming through.
Oh yeah, these are going to be early aggressions we're seeing. And I do respect it from Ghost Army. Again, you do want to get into the top floor as fast as you want to. Velocity needs to be your pickup game, and Ghost Army are right now carrying it. We already have Piano, we already have Sludge going on White Window, throwing nades, trying to get utility, pop these Goyos as well to apply extra pressure and get rid of these shields. That is the pivot. This Goyo and Fenrir combination coming so strong, but Ghost Army are creating opportunities for shots to be shot because a triple kill for the attack so early on. The majority of the team is dug down deep, 6 foot under to be exact, and the Goyo Fenrir. We talk about that duo as they're left alone standing against 5 hungry Ghost Army players ready to hunt you down, but they're still cautious, and they're not going to be letting go of this position, this strength so easily.
That's it, Ghost Army. They're not going to want to be giving this up. They're looking for what's going to be their 6th in a row, and how about that? A flawless round to kick us off on Cafe. Nexus, their top floor, it just crumbles like an instant. The 1 point of pressure is applied, and all of a sudden, the castle comes crumbling down, and the 2 that remain, well, they weren't there for long. Ghost Army, that was nothing short of dominant. What a way to start things off on your own map pick with a massive statement saying, we're here to play your primary bomb site. We're just going to run through you, shoot your wall, and they now find themselves 1-0 up.
1-0 up already, so quick! Ghost Army took Cigar, Lounge, everything was theirs in a matter of seconds. Aces on Freezer, and then just pushed up, took out Wait Window, and they conquered. The entire top floor was theirs, and before we knew it, the entirety of Nexus was forcing themselves onto this bottom floor. Again, they felt this fear factor slowly start kicking in, and they were shivering in their timbers, as all of a sudden, they try rotating down, and 3 players are gone. What do we do? What do you do with that position? Maybe you can play off of verticals, but there's no C-Force. And Ghost Army, they're pushing down fast, and they are not giving you a slight chance.
Nothing at all being given away, and that's perhaps something that Ghost Army have been repeating here throughout this entire series. Something we do see from them is often when Ghost Army get a kill, it's very rare that there's not one following or a trade coming back through. There's always someone in a position to try and contest the next kill. for the side of Ghost Army, it's a really, real great way they're playing through, because if you can get 3 picks almost, well, within a second of each other, it leaves Nexus in a position where they don't have time to get the call-outs out. Regardless of how on point your calls are, fun fact, saying words does take time. And if Ghost Army are acting that quickly, you don't have time to get those words out unless your name is Eminem. You can't get the words out that quickly. You just don't have time to react. What can you do? It's difficult. It really, really is. Of course, now Nexus need to pause, reset, look towards round number 2. They can't be letting that one affect them too much here, because Ghost Army, as I mentioned, they're 6 rounds in a row now if we include the previous map, where they got 5 in a row to close it out. They're looking in mighty fine shape here, going in towards this next round here, and I don't think they're going to at all be scared. They're going to be playing with confidence now, and you do have to wonder, is there almost a lack of confidence from Nexus, perhaps something that might play into them and might be hurting them a little bit?
Definitely is. Competitive is all about breaking someone under pressure, and the first one to break under pressure, well, that is the determined loser. As of current, Ghost Army have been tasting victory for about 8 rounds out of the 11 they have played in both of these maps, and they're looking to continue that streak. They're having themselves an absolute blast of a performance, but in the meanwhile, the ground they're covering, the strategy they're using, the lineup, from 0 to the very end, they have complemented every single aspect that this team has to offer, and well, they have countered Nexus quite well. Let's hope to see that further on, but Nexus, pick it up, please. We need some sort of effort. We need some sort of fight back, and maybe this is just the time to do so. They've wasted great time here, while the Ghost Army have aggressed and a bit more performed towards this red side. They haven't really gotten the pickup towards bomb and execution as well. We have Goyos, Wamai, Frost, Mutes, Castles all around the deck, and now it's up to Ghost Army to start clearing them out.
Total opposite. So, I mean, you look towards the first round, it was very quick, it was very aggressive. This time around, Ghost Army, I think playing a little bit more execute focus. You know, they're going to wait till the end of the round. They're going to apply all possible options, wait until the very, very end of the round. Pull the trigger to make the final blows happen. As we see, time's dialing away, and finally there goes the first pick. It's going to be Apox finding the first one of Ishak. And there you go. That's the opening that Ghost Army are going to want to be going into this round here. However, this player on Cocktail could definitely cause some damage if they're not cleared out here. But Thor looking the wrong way at the wrong time, and Jessica finds it. 5 versus 3 now, 5 versus 2. Trixie and Bankers, what can you do to deny a second flawless income to repel? But with players behind, players in front, you can't get any of them. And now it's all down to Bankers in a 1 versus 5. Flawless is denied. A second one as well with the Keratos. It makes it a 1 versus 3, effectively a 1 versus 2 with Atos down. But Ghost Army, you've got all the cards in your favor right now. Surely you don't give this one away. Surely you don't let it slip through your fingers. You will not. Yashiro closes it out, and Ghost Army, bit messy, little bit messy, but they still got it done. And I would say, regardless of that fact, they looked really, really, really good in that round here. And we head to a little bit of a tech pause here. Puffo, what have you seen so far? Because for me, at least, Ghost Army, they're not slowing down at any point soon.
Oh wow, Josh Robb, that was an interesting round. We saw some really good kills. Again, Ghost Army are always the ones to go up front to put up this composition and make sure that it is their lead. If, of course, it's not going to be Nexus playing on their defense, we might as well allow attackers to take 2-3 lives at once. And well, as much as we can rely on Wamai to get 3 kills, complimentary at ones at that, he's still playing against chances. And again, like previously, you do not want to rely on hero plays. Please don't. In the end, I don't think Nexus are definitely aiming for it, but at the same time, it's what they're left down to. 2-3 players constantly, and that's a constant that we need to remove right now. You're on the defense. Make sure these rounds count. Stop playing top floor. Maybe go bottom, because Kitchen is good. While though we have seen turtle strats from both of these teams, especially on club, this is where maybe they can start proving a bit more roam. We need to see Ghost Army struggle. They have not played against much roam at all. They banned out the Vigil for a possible reason. Bring a Solus, bring an Oryx, if you will. A Caveira is even better than nothing. Just make sure to go upstairs, waste their time, and give them hell.
That's it. Regardless of throughout the entirety of the last couple of rounds, it seems like Ghost Army, whether on attack, whether on defense, they've been the ones in control of the tempo here. They've been the ones that have been setting the pace, setting how things are going to be going. And it's often Nexus, the ones that are having to formulate a response. And that's already a difficult position to be in. And it's not been working for them. We need to see some early aggression from Nexus, as you said. We need to see them start to take some control of this matchup here. And you're on the defense. You're the ones that are really going to be deciding what Ghost Army are going to be going up against. And what I want to see from them is more aggression, some more fight back. If they can get an early pick going there, where I've got a feeling they are able to convert that into a round. But right now, the early round is not working in their favour, and it's Ghost Army. They start off the round strong, and it just sort of rolls on from there. Nexus, we need to see some bite back in the early round, and hope for their sake that's what we see here in round number 3.
Hopefully, change, adaptation, and most importantly, to overcome. That is the goal the Nexus right now are aiming for. And if they don't hit the net and those crossbars are in your way, named Ghost Army, you're going to keep on missing and missing and missing, and all of a sudden, it's going to be a 2-0. 2 rounds already. Again, this is the double digit of rounds that have been won by Ghost Army, and they've lost only 2. That is huge performance, and although Clubhouse, let's leave that in the past and focus on the present, it's the future that Nexus should be scared of. Time is going away, and the more rounds you lose, the more you're going to regret it, because these first halves are always just a blueprint for the second half. It's how good of a structure you get yourself built, how great of a foundation you set, and then how well you can work off of it. Again, Ghosts have been fantastic. They already claimed the worst situation being in this first half for them will be a 2-4 if they lose all rounds right now going. And that's okay. If they get a 3-3, 4-2, 5-1, I mean, it's going to be absolute demolition.
Exactly. It's going to be really difficult for Nexus to work front unless they wake up here and now. This has to be the round where things start to turn around for them because, as you say, momentum, Ghost Army, they've got it all in their really playbook right now. They're comfortable. Nexus, they're changing up the strategies repeatedly here. They're trying something else on this top floor this time around. Slightly different operator lineup as well. They're just trying to find something that's going to be sticking for them. And you have to hope they find it soon because they really need to if they want to be staying alive in this match. Of course, round is going to be playing out similar how it sort of started previously. We're a minute in, a bit in, and no one's died yet. We're still playing 5 versus 5. A little bit of a song and dance around Syria Gate here, baiting out when the sprint across is actually going to come through. I like that. That's clever. Bait it out. The attackers don't know when you're actually going to make that cross. Perhaps they're not ready on the trigger, and then when you sprint across, you're perfectly safe to do so. I like that there. That was clever from Nexus, but you're going to need a little bit more than that there. You're, of course, going to want to be winning rounds. It's a clever little place, but you're going to need some big plays if you want to be winning this round here. Pressure now starting to apply from the Scar side as the wall starts to open up. Ghost Army getting their way into the building now, circling around, and they're wanting to find this round.
Oh, it's been criminal up until now, and as much as I can say Ghost Army have been robbing these kills, they continue to do so. It's another cash in the bag. They're looking to steal an extra bit of money, and they're rich, but not for much longer, as it's now on equal terms. Piggy Bank isn't rich for anyone, and neither is it full, as Nexus returned the fire. Equal HP, I could call it, and 45 seconds, you're left down to all or nothing. It's going to be raw, pure gunfights you're going into, Ghost Army, and they've been confident into those. 2 on freezer, 1 down, 1 finish. It's returned. And now it's a technical 2v3. My bad. 1v3 for the side of Trixie here to clutch up against. Finds 1 headshot, needs 2 more heads. And is he going to be the headhunter? No, Yoshiro proves to be that. The 417 on deck comes out as the triumph, the winner. And Ghost Army 3-0. Travi, this is not looking good.
This is not at all, and we've only casted with each other for a little while, but if there's one thing you've probably picked up by now, I like my numbers. And one number I'd like to bring up here is Cafe Dostoyevsky, the defensive attack and win rate here so far in Season 10 of ESA. Of course, this isn't indicative of just these teams, as it's a whole league performance, but 56.8% of rounds, 50 to 38. Most of the rounds are going the way of the defense at the minute here. So Ghost Army, they've not only met expectations by winning round number 2, by winning round number 3, they've exceeded benchmarks set by the other 15 teams within this league. And they're now in the advantage, regardless of how the next 3 rounds go. Unless it's some really, really dominant showing from Nexus, unless something suddenly clicks and it's total opposite story, Ghost Army are going to be going into the second half with a really, really good position they find themselves in. Of course, that second half, we can't write this first one off before it's done. We're still only halfway through it in theory. We've only played 3 rounds. We've still got 3 to go. Still ample time for Nexus to try and work their way back into this one as they head towards Kitchen for the first time so far this matchup. Perhaps this change of sight, this change of environment may work in their favour. We'll have to wait and see.
We will have to see, and hopefully our eyes don't deceive us as we're seeing a Jackal from Ghost Army. Again, really pivoting toward the fact that they really want to just clear this top, this mid, and go to the bottom, because this time around, it's going to be Kitchen we're playing. It's going to be Doc on the side of Nexus as they're ready to take it a bit more into gunfights and less utility, although information is the key factor of this map. Why haven't we not seen a Maestro? Maybe the Valkyries band. Echo's still a bot, and, well, for now, no one's really picking him up on these these operators. Again, play into your strengths. The Ghost Army did that on Clubhouse. They're doing that now. They have the Ram, they have the Jackal. They're going to use them because it makes their job easier. This is competitive. You want to up those chances, and Nexus this time around are doing exactly that, as we have 2 roamers, maybe even 3, putting up a bit of presence just to put that extra edge and have Ghost Army on the edge of their seats.
Yeah, these roamers, this is what I wanted to see from Nexus. I mentioned it a bit earlier. I want to see some early round fight back from them. I want to see themselves really getting involved with things here. But they're trying to do so, and at least for the start, Ragora's taking quite a little bit of damage though. However, if they can get to the dock safely, should be able to heal back up like nothing ever happened. There you go. We're back at an even playing field now. 5 versus 5 still, as we're approaching the halfway point of the round rapidly. And Ghost Army, well, they're all still outside the building, trying to find their way in. But Yoshiro worked their way through in towards the top floor now. Going to be identifying these opponents. They've identified the Jackal's one of the site players, so it's not going to be any of the roamers just yet. And there's still Bamkas on this second floor here looking for Pick. He's going to be able to find Sanzu, heal themselves right back up to full. You do have the Jackal ping on you, so they're going to know exactly where the player is. But at the same time, it's going to be very, very difficult to try and pick down this player. We know that MP5 can sing. Not sing in this situation. It will not, as Alex gets picked. Ragora, though, immediately trades it back. Nexus, this is the aggression I've wanted to see from them. They're finally getting it now. They just now have the man advantage. Final minute of the round. They just can't let this one slip through.
Oh, what a harmony here for Nexus. That's what we've been looking for. Keep it up. So he does. Trixie secondary SMG-12. If you're bringing the shotgun, might as well put that secondary to use. Huge playing Christmas side, making sure anyone just going into his line of sight is going to be the benefit this team reaps off of. Nexus playing aggressively in roam is the counteract to how Ghost Army absolutely demolish on people who play too close to sight. Peeking out shield, that's another case is dropped. That's diffuser on floor, and a 1v4 situation, one that we haven't seen Ghost Army find themselves in, as now they're finally on the receiving end. Nexus giving them a taste of their own medicine. The Ash left outside. Nexus comfortable, chest puffed, and ready to absolutely have these guns running. The Ash may run away, but you can only run as much as you want. You can peek as much as you want. 10 seconds remain. You're up against 4. You're hitting some nasty headshots. I'll give you that. But you cannot win this, as Nexus, this is the round they've been looking for. And Trixie for the final coup de grace. And after a huge run of Ghost Army just putting them down, Nexus, it's about how good you are at picking yourself up.
That's it. You've given them a taste of their own medicine there. I mean, Ghost Army, they've been so strong over these last 3 rounds, all of them basically dominant, and now Nexus have sort of flipped the tables a little bit and said, hey, this is what you've been doing to us. No, it does not feel good, but this is what you're going to be saying. And for Nexus, that's the start of what I can hope to be a really, really good comeback into this one here. They can keep that momentum from that round up and going here. Definitely see a world where they play like that, continue to do so. They can level this out 3-3, and sure, it's not going to be the best way to go into the second half. It certainly looks a lot better for you than a 4-2 or a 5-1. So, Nexus, they just need to keep going, and I'm hoping the way they're going to be playing says exactly that. I look at that operator lineup, and to me, that says they're not changing up. They're happy with how the last round went, and they want to keep going on that way.
10 seconds.
If they started the race, they might as well be the ones to finish it. And Ghost Army, you're not going to have as easy of a time as you did earlier, because Nexus are starting to pick up on what you're dropping, getting the ball rolling. That's only 1 round. That is only 1 round, which we have, again, seen in Clubhouse. I really don't want to focus on Clubhouse as much as it is in the past, but that is what we can relate to here. Ghost Army have 1 round, they lost 1, but then they kept going. And this is where that pivot needs to happen. Nexus, start leveraging towards the fact that you have applied pressure, see what you did right, and play off of those. Don't fix what's not broken. And right now, that previous round, chef's kiss, it was a meal that me and Shravi are right now feasting upon.
That's it. That's what we live for in these games. We live for the excitement. There's nothing worse, I think, as casters and as well, a lot of you will play as viewers. I mean, there's nothing worse than dying that early on in the round. Unfortunately, there for Chapkin and Senzu finds one. But there's nothing worse than a one-sided match. We want to see some excitement, and I want to see Nexus fight their way back into this. Sure, start of round number 5 hasn't quite gone their way, but they've still got a good set of players alive here. They've still got Trixie and Bankers, the players who really have been firing alive so far, really keeping where it has been close for Nexus. They're there. They're the ones that are really competing, getting the kills on the board. It's going to be pivotal that they stay alive and they get some picks. Z-Shack goes down, and now I'm starting to worry a little bit for Nexus here. 5 versus 3 as you're going into the end of the round here, but it's not even the end of the round, really. I lie. We've still got over half the round to play with here, and Nexus, They're 3 versus 5. 2
Oh.
versus 5.
Oh, Yoshiro, don't kick a man while he's down. And Travi, I can't even blame you for thinking it was the end of the round. That's how Ghost Army portray it. They are the dictators of what happens, what goes, and what doesn't. The previous round, it was a fluke, a bit of a jest, and now they're gonna return it with some spice, and that spice. Oh, the flawless round, 1-taps all around, and they're passing us some favorable fees. This is the sweet Ghost Army give us, as now they are 4-1 in the first half on their attacking side. The roles get reversed, and it's gonna be hell unless both of these teams really like the attack and try to be the opposing force. And Nexus, they need to reclaim it. This second round is a dire one at that. If they don't claim it and pinpoint some sort of catalyst out of whatever mistakes they did, in the end, they're gonna be their own bearer of bad news.
It's so difficult. I mean, their Ghost Army, they lost the round, and they, to be fair, they just felt like they took that one almost personally. They just were like, right, we're not doing that again. We're going to answer back a flawless. How much more of a dominant one can you say? We're not going to let that one round affect us here. Nexus now, they're going to move to the final round and a half here. And yet again, back on towards this top floor objective, they're going to be changing things up a little bit, changing things up ever so slightly. We're going to see the scope most for the first time in the entire series, I believe. How will she play into it? I mean, that's leaning again yet to what I said I wanted to see from Nexus a little bit, where it's that aggression, it's that control, and they need to be more dominant in this matchup. Because right now, Ghost Army, they're in control of everything. It's a Ghost Army world, and we're kind of just all living in it at the minute. So we want to see something aggressive from Nexus. I've got a feeling Rigora here has the right idea in mind. We just need to see it stick through to the execution.
Look at a bit more. Find that glue, put it on the Elmers. Beautiful piece of work. And now, Ghost Army. Let's see what we're rocking. The lineups have been switching for the side of Nexus. I like that they have been trying to adapt, not even just from their playstyle, their aggression, but at the same time, their operators. Now we see the Scopos, the Aruni of all operators, which at times is an underrated pick. And when it comes down to Ghost Army having such good entry, you might as well try and deny it or delay it with a castle and a Scopos, which, speaking of Scopos, you speak of the devil, he shall appear, but it's not the devil, it's Nexus with their holy shots coming through. That's the opening, Travi, and Ghosty. Oh, Ghost Army already one down.
That's it, they're one down now. And aggression is what we needed from Nexus there. You've lost your Thatcher. A lot of the utility being brought over by Nexus. Well, that's going to be staying up for the remainder of the round here. And the aggression from Nexus, it doesn't seem like it wants to stop here as Bankers found themselves in a position here that if they can play their cards right from here, it's going to be extremely, extremely useful going into the round here as Rigora trying to make their way back up towards the objective to support the rest of the team now, because ultimately all you need to do at Nexus this point is hold on. Unfortunately for Trixie, that's not going to be the case. Falling down to Yasuke, as now we're in the 4 versus 4. It's equalised yet again. The Nexus, they got the opening, they got the start to this round that they really, really needed, but they need to be able to keep it going their way. And I can't be convinced yet until the round is over the line, unfortunately. Ghost Army making their way on through now, but here comes Bankers with one on towards Yasuke. They go down, and Nexus, they take the man advantage right back into their hands.
Oh, and it keeps on going. Banks with another. Yoshiro, not much of a fight. We've been seeing him on the fragmentative end, but he peeks out. That's one for Adox as he returns it. One more needed to equalize the man count, but that is just some sort of groundbreaking that we need to see here for Ghost Army if they want to have it. An unexpected turn of events as pushing up top White will be leaving you in a detriment. Nexus now sticking to the side of Freezer. One for a flank, not expected. Rogara for the second. It's a 1v1 situation. Information there. Comes out swinging with a pre-fire, and the Scopos! The beautiful big bad wolf knocking at Ghost Army's door, making sure the Nexus don't go down without a fight.
That was so drastically needed there. And I'm glad that for Nexus it can finally click. That aggression, so we've both said the entire time, they need to show some control in this matchup. They need to show their teeth. And finally, Rigora is the one to come alive, is the one to do so. And Nexus, I've got a feeling they're going to be going into the second half here with at least a fragment of hope that this one can still be done. Of course, you can't deny the facts of the room here. You're now moving on to the least favourable of the two sides with a round deficit. It's going to be hard to work your way back into, sure, but that round proves to me Nexus have what it takes within them to do it. They just need to get to work. The one thing that's eluded from this entire matchup, and that's going to be the consistency from the start of the prep phase to the very bitter end of the action phase. It needs to be on point that entire time.
On point. Really have to hit the bullseye. Nexus, that's a round going for you. The first half may not look good, and the chances are against you. Odds to not favoring at all. But we can paint the picture still. We have some rounds we can work off of and take what you can. Bring these operators into best play. I'm loving the Nook, which is another operator at times underplayed, but definitely has strengths. And Ghost Army getting punished for their cheekiness as Chap there with a beautiful opening onto none other than the Doc. So Ghost Army, no more medicine, no more heals. Whatever HP you're left with is what you're going to have to stick with.
And that was going to be actually, based on my next point actually, Ishak and Chapkins, they started off this half 0-5. I don't like to point out negative results, but unfortunately, Nexus, the rest of the team, they're doing all right so far. 6-5, 6-5-5. They're doing all right for themselves. Unfortunately, two other players on Nexus, it's really not going their way as a Rotero drone comes in, pause that for a minute. Ghost Army, they're now in a 2 versus 5. Nexus, they're taking the momentum from round number 6, applying it here to round number 7. Senzu does find one back on towards Regora, but 4 versus 2 now. Go Nexus. They're still in the driver's seat for this round. They should be able to. Look at this. Senzu's in a really funny position here. Prone through Cigar, trying to escape with their life. He's going to be able to do so. And now they're looking towards this player, top white. This castle player, they need to get rid of Atox. But Senzu and Atox are going to be playing this together. They're going to be playing this perfectly. They need to work together to isolate this pick. And they're going to do just that. We cannot see another man advantage thrown away from Nexus. Because otherwise, it's really worrisome.
It definitely does. Earlier, Ghost Army were able to pull more than just their weight. They've been able to pull weight of the entire team with only 2 players. And coming around, the secondary, not again!
Oh.
So he gets away with that with Atox on the backup. Pat on the back, beautiful teamwork, chemistry at top. Gets the finalization. Chap in a 1v1. Atox there has been on the fragmentation. The peak of the crop going against the ace, the dominating player, the hard support who has been on a streak for multiple rounds. 1 minute. Nexus, you have to fight it off. Information isn't going to be the best. You have 3 drones, not much on deck. But Atox as well, not with the best guns. You're both at your pros and cons. Still some bread loaves flying out. He peeks out. You look to play a bit more aggressively. As now he's on your left. He doesn't recognize it. And Atox, he takes away. The UMP-45 may be recognized for its weak stats. But when it's in the hands of Atox, holy plays come out.
Atox, I mean, it's a name we've said a lot tonight. That man is on fire so far, putting up numbers, putting in the work. And Nexus, that was a round. I mean, look at this point here. With 4 versus 2, and then it just kind of crumbles away. One by one. Ghost Army, they isolate the picks, they get the kills, and they work their way back into that round. They leave it at a 1 versus 1. And Atox, as has been the case all night, masterful play, great positioning, on point shooting, and we now find themselves here. They're now 5-1 up. 5-2 up, sorry. We move towards round number 8 here. Ghost Army advances back here. Start the second half off, and Nexus, well, that one's got to sting quite a bit.
Nexus, as close as you've brought it to us. Trammy, we've seen 1v1s for way too much, even with Nexus coming out as a strong beginning. Ghost Army have gotten double or triple kills to even out whatever Nexus put down and just completely flip the table way too many times for it to be allowed. Now what the response from Nexus is going to be, they're going to fully focus on taking out your roamers. The Deimos is an operator feared by many, and many for many more to come, as Deimos is just simply a powerhouse. But the Amaru is something that I'm hoping will be used for guns rather than utility.
Well, that's it. You talk about Deimos being scary. Amaru is anything but that. But here comes an Ash here, storming in. It's going to be Ishak. Finds an early pick onto Yasuki, and that's an opener there. Nexus is saying they still really want to be competing here, and you know what? The aggression, it's worked for them so far. It's just now about getting that early pick, maintaining that composure here.
You apologize for that, but we continue, we digress, and, well, what happened in the current moment? Yasuko, he's always been the one to not only die first, but get some kills first. So that's ironic how first blood is captured, but first blood is given for the side of Nexus, although they have really started riding the wave a bit more. The Ash backed off. They got the opening, and they recognized what they have managed to capture. This is a huge wave to get yourself back into the game and make sure that Ghost Army don't get that chance of 2v2ing it back up again, getting that ground zero in the situation. Ada taking very heavy damage, trying to relay it back to the Amaru, finding no success. As of current, though, the puzzle pieces are getting put down, and Nexus, they may be making a slow approach, but they're doing it nicely spread, right? They're not going in quickly, just taking out the entirety of top floor in a very huge burst, and then same goes for the execution. No, they're going at a tempo that is set and paced, and they're doing it very nicely. It's how you should do things, by a sort of recognition or something that can be nicely changed and quickly adapted to if something goes wrong. Although as of current, Ram's still coming out, Nexus making preparations, the drone on board, and well, verticality being established as Ghost Army feel themselves pushed back a bit more to try and punish this, as they're going upstairs to take initiative, swinging around, your back is exposed. That's a cold shot from the sides of Senzo, and the cold stab it is, a stab in the heart, you could call it. My heart is aching to see Nexus yet again fall down, possibly to it. Senzo with a second, peeking out the crossfire, they're established, the final bullets of Ace Dogs just connect. One of your players, no, rather both two, left down standing, bottom floor, your bomb is on the Ace, completely stranded, white side, 20 seconds, and they're playing verticality. What options do you have, Nexus? You have had so many chances, yet you whiffed them all. Now it's the Goyo, which is gonna come in as such a huge piece. Peeking out, you don't expect him to be playing Bakery. That's one onto the Amaru. It's a 1v2 situation. Your blind Tiki finishes the job. Hadox with the T10 Roni needs a couple of bullets to connect, and so he does, as Ghost Army are yet again gonna be heading into none other, and I am very afraid to say it, but match point. That is terrifying. That is something that has been sending shivers down my spine the entire time. How did Ghost Army get away with it? Please, Nexus! Drones! You have 3 of them. Place them somewhere. Even a player. Your players are dead, some of them. Even though they're in the grave, they can still get on their phone, watch a bit of TikTok, Twitter on the side, second screen monitor, and maybe watch a bit of flank. But no. We have a double flank coming out from Ghost Army on the side of red. On your pivot point of verticals where the ram is established, where all crossfires are held, with people turning their backs in and you without information. At times I really want to cheer on for Nexus. They have the potential. They have proven that they are quick on the move. Their feet are very speedy, and they have the good footwork that they can definitely take out Ghost Army here. But Ghost Army is just phasing through them. It is no matter, whatever the cost, Nexus in the exact same position as they were on Clubhouse, 6-2. That is 6-2 is just something that I wanted to take a bit of a second to breathe in and breathe out. You know, take a moment of silence for whatever Nexus is facing right now. But whoever right now is in chat, going for the side of Nexus, you, the fans, need to cheer them on a bit more. You need to make sure that you are their last hope, because if the players won't do it, give them that push. We are too. Ghost Army, they have been a team that has been proving more than just a challenge. There is a reason they were the Season 8 ESA winners, and they're looking to reclaim that title. As much as other teams like MVG may be in their way, it's Nexus's turn to step down their foot and make sure this is a challenge to find themselves in the worth of being maybe champions themselves later on, but as of current, it's just not showing itself. It definitely isn't. No players taken out. This is slowly pacing it down, but Nexus have made good progression. Verticality here is key, and to unlock that door to round number 3 here, your own round number 3, and get yourself just a tad bit closer, you will need to play a bit more safely and please together.
Evanis, that's been something that's been key for Nexus77 so far. They've not been able to do so. And Ghost Army, they've been playing like a team. They've been playing like an army. And one thing about associated with armies. It's being coordinated, it's being one, working together as a massive unit. And Ghost Army, they've been doing just that. However, Atox is going to be the first to go as Yasuke falls as well. Yoshiro finds one back, and there you go, just like that. Ghost Army, they're back into this round. It's a 1 versus 3 for the series for Trixie. Finds one, but surely at this point, Puffo, the damage has been done.
Oh, they're already leaving. Nexus have given up. What if Trixie wins this? Nexus, that is the pure definition of you getting broken under pressure. I'm sorry to say it. I really don't want to be the one to put the final nail in the coffin here, but Ghost Army are already doing it for us. At the same time, we're not going to sugarcoat it. Nexus already left. They've given up on it. The result is set in stone, and, well, if Trixie manages to win this, they're going to have to rejoin, and that's not going to be the best, as your teammate is probably quite down on it. The mental should be kept up. This is competitive. Please keep it up. Ghost Army in a 1v2. Let's see how the chances work out against this gridlock. Trixie, all down to you. 30 seconds. You're on that. One operator. You cannot watch your back, but maybe your tracks can do it for you. People getting spotted, rotation behind you open, some pre-fires coming out, all bullets wasted, reload needed, but the gridlock snuck herself into piano. This is huge, but no kills are going to be dropped. I don't think it's going to let go. Ghost Army are looking to get themselves into bed as early as they can. Have this match be over with Senzo there with a final touch. It's the coup de grace we've been waiting for. Ghost Army going 7-2, 7-2. Travi, this was a match that's result was predicted by percentage-wise, but definitely not expected.
That's it. One of the few matches here I've had the pleasure with an ESA that have really gone, I'd say, to expectations there. I was hoping it would be a little bit more competitive from Nexus. However, by the end of that, I think, don't want to harp on it too much more, so I'll leave it and just say one thing on it. The players leaving early, I think that's indicative of where the mental was at by the end of that game, unfortunately, for them. I think that's just where they were at that point in time. It's a shame to see because there's been some flashes of absolute brilliance during that entire matchup. I think back to Rigora on that Scopos, those kind of situations where Nexus, they've proved they can do it, but I think it's just the consistency of doing it across the entirety of the rounds, entirety of the maps. That's where they fell short today, and that's where Ghost Army were able to get themselves to win, and they've done it, overall, we look at the round differential, 10-14 overall. That's a really, really strong showing from them.
That is extremely strong, and they're going to continue it down the line. I expect a lot here from the side of Ghost Army, but Nexus, maybe we can see them in action a bit more next time. Like you said, they have that spark. They have some sort of passion. We just need to fuel it up a bit more, light the candle, and let it go off. But today's match, well, sadly, it was a bit of a quicker one. We were hoping to see a bit of Nighthaven action, as Nighthaven is absolutely fantastic. But as of current, Travi, these are the current brackets. We are going to be seeing also some more action down the line of this week, which you should be tuned out for. But, I mean, it's Swiss, right? We're slowly also closing into double elimination. Actually, we are in double elimination right now, I believe. And we're just going to have to see how it goes.
That's it. I mean, it's a really difficult spot to be in. I think the 1-1, well, it's not difficult, I lie. It's 1-1, it's an all right spot to be in. I think MVG, there were definitely some mistakes exposed from them last night. Nexus today, as we said, there's been some brilliant moments in there, but there's also been some ones that perhaps weren't quite as brilliant. They've both of those teams, they've got things to be working on, and as a result, that's where they find themselves 1-1. You're not in a bad spot just yet. You've still got you've still got 2 of those lifelines to play with, so you've still got a decent amount of wiggle room here in Swiss. But I'm looking at the top of the bracket right now. Sync and Ghost Army, 2 teams that, when I've had the pleasure of casting them, they've been so impressive here. Ghost Army today, really, really pulling out all the stops. Sync, it was a battle yesterday. It was a bloodbath. Today, unfortunately, I cannot say the same for this matchup. Ghost Army, they definitely had the number of Nexus today, and they found themselves such a great win here. And of course, that is not going to be all for this week here. Of course, we've got plenty more action coming your way this week. And tomorrow, you're going to be treated to No Offense versus SFAM Esport. And, that one, that can be spicy. I've got a feeling, Puffo.
I've seen No Offense. Again,
Yeah?
No Offense is something. There's something. That's all I'm going to say. There are forces that at times can't be reckoned with. As for SFAM, they are renamed, I believe. I believe this is a team that also was affected by many other renames, and it was Devil Esports before. If you recognize Devil Esports, they have now renamed to SFAM, and that's who they're playing as, which you should tune in, because it's going to be tomorrow, same time, more action, and both of these teams going toe-to-toe, and Travi, I believe, It was an absolute pleasure to be doing today's matches. Thank you everyone for playing. Thank you everyone for watching, because without you, it would be impossible. Thank you for ESA and everyone in the production, going from Nanos, one of the possibly best, if not the best. I don't want to get screamed at, but the best producer to come out. Of course, Oha in the background. We have Bows right now in green rooms, just hoping for a Bows Max. That's not going to be happening. And Travi, thank you so much for joining along. It was a pleasure as per usual. And please end us off.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think you've taken it all out of my mouth, really, there. There's nothing more to say here. Pleasure from everyone to be involved here. Absolutely enjoyable time as always. Hope you all have at home as well. Of course, yet again, same time, same place tomorrow. You know where to find it. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and take care. See you tomorrow.